And welcome to another episode of Music Meanderings. I'm Mike Lamneck. Today, we're going to talk about those records that you might be embarrassed to have in your collection. You're having folks over, you might put them at the back of the stack or in the closet or something. You don't want anybody going through your records and seeing these in your collection. Now, I must admit, I was more worried about that when I was younger than I am now. I'm not really worried about what people think about these records. In fact, a lot of these that I'm going to mention are some of my favorites. Now, we're going to go over just six of the most embarrassing records in my collection. And go ahead and comment below about yours. What records do you have? What CDs, whatever format you might collect, do you have in your collection that, well, you might be a little embarrassed about? Okay, I'm going to start again in no particular order here. Go back to good old, yes, Engelbert Humperdinck. Album After the Lovin', one of two of his albums that I actually own. You have to wonder, why would anyone willingly choose that as a stage name? Talk about embarrassing. But it didn't stop him from having a huge career in the 60s and 70s. I have precious memories of his records being in my mom's collection, especially Please Release Me, which I have a copy of that right now, as a matter of fact. And yes, I would sing along with them. And no, fortunately, there is no recording of those early warblings available. 88 years old this year, Arnold George Dorsey, better known as Engelbert Humperdinck. Well, how about the Osmonds? The Osmonds' debut album, I must admit, when I came across a near mint copy of this at the local used record store, I was almost giddy. I owned the One Bad Apple 45 as a kid growing up. Still can't sing that high note that Donnie sang. And I was kind of a closet Osmond fan growing up. Now, my sister had a couple of their cassettes, especially the Donny Osmond solo stuff. But as a kid, as a young boy, you didn't want to necessarily be connected with the Osmonds. But I must say, I watched a 1972 concert from them, a full concert at the State Fair. One of those things where you start watching it, you think, I'll endure a few minutes of this. I ended up watching that whole show. The guys sung, danced, very proficient on their instruments, talent off the charts. This first album, sweet and innocent. He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother. Of course, One Bad Apple's on there. And Donny Osmond recently completed a very successful Las Vegas style tour. Next up, Andy Gibb's greatest hits. Yeah, some polished pop with more than a little help from his famous brothers, the Bee Gees. I still enjoy hearing those ear candy classics like Shadow Dancing and Love is Thicker than Water. Who can resist I Just Want to Be Your Everything, huh? Well, I snagged a white label promo copy. Andy Gibb sadly died as a result of myocarditis at the age of 30. The Archies, everything's Archie. Again, I have two Archies albums, looking for a third one, a decent copy of it. I find it all beat up at the record store from time to time. Talking about Jingle Jangle, that's the one we had growing up. But the Archies, they were hot, weren't they, growing up? The cartoon series, loved watching. Who was your favorite Archie? You can comment on that. Who was your favorite Archie of the Archies? And Sugar Sugar, actually #1 Billboard single for the entire year of 1969.
I'm impressed.
A bubblegum classic that people still like to hear today. Primarily Ron Dante, Andy Kim, Jeff Berry, group of studio musicians were the Archies. Well, I have memories of my sister and her best friend be sprawled out in front of the TV. I forget what night it aired in our market, but the Partridge Family, I believe it was a Friday night, and they would never miss an episode of the Partridge Family. The Partridge Family album. one of those albums you might be embarrassed to have in your collection. I actually own 4 of their records, including the Christmas album, which gets at least one seasonal spin a year. And if you ever wondered why Frosty the Snowman was never done as a ballad, just listen to David Cassidy sing it on this record and you'll understand. And getting a little more current, even though it's still more than 30 years old, Sir Mix-a-Lot and Baby Got Back, 1992 mega hit by rapper Anthony L. Ray, better known as, of course, Sir Mix-a-Lot. One of the few 12-inch singles that I still have left over in my collection from my DJ days. A huge dance hit, still gets played today, and well, you don't have to listen to the lyrics very closely to understand why it's embarrassing. There you go, my list of 6 kind of embarrassing records that I have in my collection. I wouldn't have to dig too deep to draw out quite a few more. What about you? Go ahead and comment below what records or CDs, whatever format you collect, that you have in your collection that you might put towards the back of the pile so nobody sees it right away. And please subscribe to Music Meanderings.